Most people talk about giving value in their email marketing. But look, if you're a coach or an expert in something, you know that the majority of people are not the most successful. So if you want to do and you want to model what the most successful minority are doing, then I can tell you now that giving value in your emails is probably killing your sales. When I switched from sending value, I increased my sales by 1,876%. That's a lot, right? And I'm going to show you how we did it using a technique that we call psych stacking. So value and giving lessons in your emails are actually not super valuable anymore, mostly because of AI. Most people can learn, more importantly, they think they can learn things just by typing it into their favorite AI tool. It's a bit like when Google first got massive, isn't it? Like people were like, oh, what's going to happen? There's still value in education, but not in that same sort of way, and certainly not inside of emails. Now, some people are going to join your list. Let's think about why people join your email list. When some people join your email list, it's because they've got an urgent problem. Think about it. Imagine you're in a hospital and you've got somebody who's had a terrible accident, right? They've had a terrible accident with a chainsaw, and their leg is hanging off, and they hop into the emergency department of the hospital, and there's blood squirting everywhere, and they're like, help, 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 and then the surgeon comes over, and they sit them down, and there's blood everywhere, going everywhere, gushing everywhere, and the surgeon sits down and says, let me tell you how I got into medicine. My parents were both physicians, and you're like, whoa, just fix my leg. I'm going to bleed to death here. That's what most people are doing with email marketing. They are nurturing people to death. There are a small number, a 3 to 5% of people who join your email list who have an urgent problem. Their leg is hanging off and they are going to bleed out if you don't fix it. The reason those people joined your email list was to fix this bleeding problem. And what most people do is they nurture them. They give them their hero story and their journey of triumph and all of this stuff. In actual fact, what this person needs is a solution. And what most people do is they take the person who's basically waving money in their face saying, hey, can I buy from you? Hey, can I enroll with you? Hey, can you help me? And they're saying, no, let's just slow it down and let me nurture you. And by the time you get round to actually selling to that person, making an offer to that person and giving them the opportunity to get the help they want, by that point, they've either bled out on the floor, they're cold hard dead, or they've gone and handed that money to somebody else who was willing to take their money. Okay? And what I'm about to share with you is exactly what changes that game. The very first thing we're going to do is when someone joins our email list, yes, we're going to give them a bit of a welcome. We're going to orientate them. We're going to say, hey, this is what's here and this is what's there, like you would, when you go to a nice hotel, or here's where the rooms are, here's where the lifts are, here's where you're going to have breakfast, here's the dining room, all that stuff. But you're also going to immediately let them know what's for sale. The very first thing we really want to do when someone joins your email list is let them know if they are that person who has the urgent need to solve this problem, this is where they can go and jump in and get the best help with that problem. The best help that you can give to their problem is with your paid products or services. That's why they exist, right? So we need to tell them about those things for that 3 to 5% who are what's called in market at any one time. The people who are ready to buy. And when we did that for one of our products, obviously, I'm going to give you the numbers today on behind the scenes of our business. I hope it's fairly obvious that the numbers I'm going to give you are not, first of all, they're not typical. They're not high, they're not low. They're just what our numbers are. And also, they're not any kind of promise of like what you might make. You might do better, you might do not as good. I don't know what you're going to do. You'll have different price offers, you convert differently. I don't know anything about your business in particular, but I'm going to share you, just to show you the full picture of this and give you the details of how this worked for us. I am going to share with you the numbers just to show you as illustration of exactly what happened for us. So when we did this exact thing, when we showed people, here's a sales sequence, we call it a sales sequence. So someone joins your email list, they have a quick welcome, and then we put them through 6 different emails, 6 different automated emails. So whenever they join your email list, they get this email, then they wait a day, then they get the next email. Like, it doesn't matter when someone's joining your list because they're always going to get these emails, which is beautiful. This, in a particular slither of time that I had my team pull, I had them grab a slither of time and said, how much did that sales sequence make us? And it came out at $27,401 for this particular period of time. Okay, awesome. But and that's great, because since I started talking about, hey, we need to sell to people early in our email automation, lots of people around the world have started doing this. I started talking about this back in 2019, and since then, you'll have seen lots and lots more people doing this exact thing using my advice, which I love, because I've been talking about it on stages and on podcasts and all over the place since then. But what I'm going to share with you now is what I did to turn that into $541,496, over $500,000. And here's what's amazing about it. It was the same email subscribers and the same offer in the same period of time, right? The only thing that changed is the things I'm going to share with you in a second. Before we get into that, if you want the entire framework that I use and I've used for years in multiple businesses to make millions of dollars from emails, not only do you get paid immediately for, but also make you sales ongoing for years to come, definitely go and check out my Fast and Forever framework. It's the core of everything I do in email marketing, and you can go and grab the whole framework and the training over at emailmarketingheroes.com/fast, or you can scan the QR code that's on screen right now. So there we are. We've got this offer and it's making us 27 grand. That's amazing. But after people have been through that sales sequence, what's going to happen? Well, what happens is some of your people who've joined your email list are going to have bought. 3 to 5% of people, those people who are in market, people with their leg hanging off who have that urgent need. And that's awesome. The rest, the other 95 to 97% of people haven't bought. But you have paid in time and or money to bring those leads in. And unfortunately, that's when most people stop. They bring people in and they've heard, oh, you should sell to people straight away. You should get them on calls. You should do whatever. Agencies do this hugely. They have people in for a short amount of time, and then 3 to 5% of people convert, or maybe you've got higher conversion rates than me. That's great too. Then they just let those leads go. That sucks. That's a lot of opportunity. That's 95 to 97% of the people you haven't converted, right? What most people do at this point is they don't keep selling, or the people disengage. So what we're going to do is something completely different. And that's what made that huge difference. That's what allowed me to go from 27 grand to over $500,000. That's increasing our sales of the same leads to the same offer in the same time period by 1,876%. Or to put it another way, by doing what I'm about to share with you, if you didn't do what I'm about to share with you, you would be leaving 94% of the money on the table from leads you've already got, for an offer you're already selling. That's crazy, right? 94% of the money you're just walking away from. I'm pretty keen for you to employ this. All right, okay? So actually go to use it. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to show up with some content. Now, as I said at the beginning, we don't want to be just like giving value for the sake of giving value. Like, the first thing we're going to do is sell to people. Okay, great. Now we're going to show up. Now, if we just sell to them again, right? If we just be like, hey, here's another reason to buy, people are going to just disengage, right? They're going to stop engaging. They're going to be like, okay, stop selling to me over and over again, right? Don't keep selling to them. Instead, what we're going to do is we are going to use what's called a content-led sequence. And what I mean by that is we are going to teach them something. We're going to give them something, but it's not just value for value's sake. What this is instead is we're going to show up with a piece of content so that they have a new revelation about something, they see something in a new way, and they've experienced what it's like learning from you, using one of your tools or something like that. So they're like, oh, I get it now. So they're much more likely to buy. If you teach something, you might teach if your main thing is you have a program or a course which is educational, right? You're in the information marketing space, like many of our students are, then you'll teach them a little tidbit of something that's like, wow, that's really cool. They get to experience what it's like to be in one of your paid programs, but without having to take that step just yet. And now they're like, I can see myself. I can see what it's like. This person's good. This person teaches really good things. I'm more likely to buy. Also, all you're going to do is send a few emails that say, hey, so remember, think of the context. They've been through a sales sequence. Let's say it's like 6 emails long. Hey, buy my thing, join my thing, enroll for the thing, apply for the thing. They've been sold. Next, you show up. Okay, cool. I've just made this cool video for you where I show you how to XYZ thing. Okay, this is different. I'm not being sold to. I'm being given some value. But of course, the value you've chosen to give is very specifically giving them a sample, a sneak peek, an example of one of the things that you teach inside of your main program. Maybe your main program isn't a teaching thing, but it's a doing thing, right? So maybe you give people frameworks or templates or something like that. Well, in this case, give them one or two templates to look at. So they go, oh, this is great. I could go use this. They are experiencing a sample of what it is that you do, okay? And at the end of that piece of content, so hey, I've just taught them one cool little technique they can use for my specific thing. They're like, great. I'm not ignoring your emails anymore because you don't just sell to me. I've clicked through your emails. You've given me some value. At the end of that video, make a soft offer. Hey, and by the way, if you want to speed this up, this is just one of the elements that we use inside of our main program. You can click here and apply. Okay? So it's not value for value's sake. It's value that leads specifically to giving a sample of what it's like to work with you and directly making an offer at the end of it. The important bit is that in the email itself, it's not just making another offer. It's allowing people to go, oh, this person doesn't just sell to me over and over again. But now we're not done. So far, we've had a sales sequence and now we've had a content-led sales sequence. And it is still a sales sequence, but it's content-led. So it's not just banging people over the head with yet another offer. Okay, next, we're going to have what I call an objection sequence. And this is to appeal to those people who have enjoyed seeing what you can do through the content. They've checked out the offer, but they are fixated, they're fascinated, they are stuck because of an objection they've got. And that objection might be something to do with their situation being unique. Will it work for my type of business or my type of situation or my health situation, my type of home, whatever, my kid that's got certain specific needs, whatever those things are. It might be to do with getting a return on investment. They have an objection of some type, right? What we're going to do in this sequence is two things. We're going to seek to understand and know what that objection is. So we're going to send some emails that say, hey, I've noticed you've been checking out our offer, this thing, our membership, our program, but you've not enrolled or not applied yet. I'm really curious to find out why that is. And you can ask them to reply. You can ask them to take a quick survey. We've got various email frameworks that we do this with. And then you ask them what it is. And if you do that in a way that gets good replies and gets good data, you come to the second part, which is to then turn their objection, not overcome the objection, but to turn their objection into the very reason they should, right? That's really important. Turn their objection into the very reason they should do the thing. So, for example, one of the objections some people have to email marketing that I hear all the time is, I don't have time to do email marketing. And I'm like, awesome, I totally get it. So once I understand that someone's objection is, I don't have time to do email marketing, I say, I totally get it. In fact, most of our students are here because they don't have time to do email marketing either, because figuring this stuff out and starting from scratch every single day takes a lot of time. But when you've got one of our frameworks, we have our students literally live in class write an email in 6 minutes. Is there anything else you can do that will build your business and make you sales and bring in money in 6 minutes? No. That's why you need this, because if you don't have time for email marketing, it's because you need these things to make it all faster. Do you see how the objection is the very reason why someone needs to do that? That's obviously just one example. So understand the objection and then turn the objection into the very reason why they should. So now we have a sales sequence, a content sequence, an objection sequence. Next, we're going to go into a risk reversal or reduction sequence, okay? And that is where we now show up with a bunch of emails. So again, think about it. We've only, which are totally different emails. So far, their experience is I've had a bunch of emails telling me a thing. Then I've had some emails telling me about a cool video that I could go and watch. Then I've had some emails asking me my opinion. I've asked about like, why am I not buying? That's the objection sequence. Next, so it doesn't feel like selling. It feels like a lot of variety, which is what keeps people engaged, even though this is a bunch of automated emails. Because remember, you write all these things once and every single new subscriber comes through them no matter what day of the week or what time of day that they join your list. You just write them all once. We're still making sales today from emails that we wrote years ago because of this very reason. And it's serving people brilliantly. So this next piece is the risk reversal sequence. And that is a sequence of emails which in some way do something to reverse or reduce the risk. And that might be, if it's a membership, it might be a trial. Hey, tell you what, instead of paying $97 immediately, come and join us for 7 days for $1, have full access to everything and sample it. Speaking of samples, another one is to actually go and sample a small piece of a larger program. This is common that our clients use this when they have like a large coaching program. They'll say, do you know what? Rather than enrolling and paying the full $8,000 right now, why don't we give you this one piece? You sort of chip off one piece of it and say, you could buy this piece for just $500. And you could experience this specific outcome. It'll be really valuable to you. They go, yeah, this is great. And when you do that, it doesn't sound like you're still banging on about the same main offer. It sounds like a brand new offer, but of course it's a stepping stone, and it's a preview, a paid preview of your main offer. So they come in, they get to experience what that's like. They're like, wow, this is great. They get to experience what it's like to be taught by you. Wow, this is great. So now when you allow them and offer them to ascend in the main offer, you just basically say things like, awesome, you've just enrolled in this one piece. This one piece is like one of 9 pieces that we use in our main program. Now you've had results from that, you've experienced that. Why don't you upgrade? And we'll even do you a special deal where we discount how much you paid for that initial thing off the main offer. So you end up with the same amount net. How awesome is that? Another one that I really love is if you do like some kind of Q&A call, a group call, a Q&A call, that kind of thing, do an open day. It's one of my absolute favorites, and almost nobody does this thing. We have lots of different risk reversal campaigns. I'm just sharing with you like 3 or something. But imagine if you have a Q&A session as part of one of your programs that you're trying to get people into. Well, you say, hey, do you know what? Why don't you come along to a Q&A as my guest? You can just listen in, or you can fully participate. You can bring your questions. That is totally fine. No one's going to know that you're not a paying member. You can come and take this. Just enjoy it, participate. This allows people to take that step into your world and see what it's like and be surrounded by loads of other people who are paying clients. There's nothing that I could say in a webinar, in a sales video, that's going to have anywhere near the impact as being surrounded by others who are already loving what you're doing. So you've got sales, content, objection handling, risk reversal, and the final piece is engagement. This is your ongoing emails. Because yes, you've given them all these different psychological reasons, and we've stacked up the psychology. That's why we call it psych stacking. We stack up these psychological reasons for someone to join by having different emails and different sequences of emails for handle each of these things. But for some people, it's just not the right time. Maybe they need to spend more time with you to build up more trust because they've had their trust really broken and painfully disturbed in the past. Or maybe it's just something else going on. They're busy finishing one thing off, they need to do something else. So here's where it gets really profitable. So we make most of our money from that first part, the S, C, O, and R, right? And that's when you can make a lot of money very quickly, and you can really shorten how long it takes to turn a new lead into a paying client by installing that. And it works very, very well. Rather than just sending out, oh, what value should I send out? What value should I send out? Like that's draining. Like if you just send out value, you're training people to not buy from you. You're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to come up with more valuable things and new ways of saying stuff instead of doing this. But there are some people who still need more time. In fact, one of the reasons when I was performing as a full-time entertainer, doing stand-up comedy and like magic type stuff, using psychology to make it look like I could read people's minds, basically in a show for corporations. What I would do, the reason I was so booked up was because of this last element, which is the E, engagement, right? SCORE. Score. We call this the SCORE method. It's our proprietary system for maximizing the profitability of every lead who comes into your business, every subscriber who joins your list. And the E is that longer term ongoing emails. So when I was doing entertainment gigs and getting booked as an entertainer to speak at these events, I would reach out to somebody and say, hey, do you want to book me? They'd say, no, we're already booked for this year. And I would follow up next year. And if they said no next year, I'd follow up the following year. And because of doing that, I ended up one of the busiest entertainers in the whole UK corporate market, performing 3 times a week for huge companies. Why? Because I kept in touch, right? Some people just need you to be there for a long time. And so you're going to send those ongoing emails for those people, keeping them engaged. That's what we're going to do. All right. So that's what I want you to do. This is how we replace just sending value, which honestly just disengages people because they're like, I don't have time to consume all of this value. And also, you're not moving them toward solving the solution in a complete way with your main program. So this is how we do it. Now, if you're thinking, okay, that's great, but what do I do when they first join my email list? You do need some kind of welcome sequence. And I'll walk you through the framework of what I call the Trust Accelerator welcome sequence, which accelerates someone's trust with you. And I did a whole video about it. You can just go and watch that right here. I hope you enjoyed this. If you'd like me to go deeper on any element of it, let me know in the comments and I'll see you later.